Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The shimmering twilight of Amara, 7 cast an ethereal glow over the jagged, alien landscape. Dense jungles stretched toward the horizon, filled with bioluminescent flora that pulsed softly, illuminating an otherwise shadowy world. Among the towering trees, their trunks thick and gnarled, Cade squatted low on a branch, watching in silence. He was a member of the Rebel Alliance, trained to scout, to surveil, and to survive. Cade's heart raced. He wasn't here to admire the beauty of the alien planet. He was on a mission, a dangerous one. Reports of captured aliens being sold into slavery had reached his unit, and they had a lead on a potential trafficking site deep within the jungle. The rugged terrain echoed with the sounds of distant creatures, a stark reminder of his isolation in a foreign land. Suddenly, a faint cry pierced through the ambient noises, drawing Cade's attention. He strained his ears, grappling with a mix of curiosity and dread. It beckoned from a clearing nearby. Against every instinct honed through years of warfare, he crept closer. As he reached the edge of the thicket, his heart sank at the sight before him. Ensnared within heavy ropes, a tall, alien creature writhed against her bonds. She was stunning, with iridescent skin that shimmered like a sunset. Solara's feline features exuded strength and grace, but her eyes, fierce and defiant, burned with a fire that sent shivers down Cade's spine. The sight of her immediately ignited something within him, a fierce determination. This wasn't just a mission, it was an opportunity to rescue a life. But as he considered his next move, human mercenaries circled around her, cackling and taunting her, oblivious to the imminent danger she represented. Cade hadn't been here long enough to let sentiment cloud his judgment, but this felt different. He could see that beneath her rage was a profound sense of betrayal. Taking in a slow breath, he focused the rifle at his side, muscles tensing as he prepared for action. "You think you can keep me like a pet?" Solara hissed, her voice a combination of fierce anger and raw power. The cruel laughter of the mercenaries momentarily ceased, their attention now on the defiant alien. Cade took his chance. He leaped into the clearing, weapon raised, shouting, "Release her!" Chaos erupted. The mercenaries turned in shock, unsure whether to flee or fight. Cade's training kicked in as he took a defensive stance, ready to protect the alien that was still struggling against her restraints. Solara's gaze snapped to him, her eyes widening in surprise. "Human," she growled, her tone almost accusatory. "You dare to challenge them? You will only put yourself in danger." "I won't leave you here," Cade declared fiercely, even as he scanned their surroundings for potential threats. With a swift motion, he fired a warning shot into the air. The mercenaries faltered, eyes darting toward the sound, fearful but emboldened by their numbers. Cade's heart thudded. He needed a distraction, a way to free Solara without getting killed. "Whatever you think of me, I'm not your enemy," he said, looking directly at her. "Let me help you." "Help?" Solara scoffed, her fierce determination unwavering. "I don't need saving from a human." As a mercenary lunged forward, Cade acted on instinct, disarming the attacker with a swift strike. The chaos continued around them, but for a brief moment, it felt as if time stood still, just him and Solara, locked in a moment of reluctant connection. The challenge of rescuing Solara began with devastation and reluctance, but beneath it all, energy crackled as the two prepared to fight not just for survival, but potentially for a bond neither had asked for. The chaos of the skirmish shattered quickly after Cade's gunshot rang out. The mercenaries, recognizing they were outmatched, scattered into the underbrush, leaving behind their fallen comrades and Solara, now free but wary. It took Cade only moments to cut through her bindings with his knife, but he could still sense the tension between them, an unquantifiable barrier that neither seemed ready to cross. "You call this help?" Solara snapped, her glowing eyes narrowing as she flexed her wrists, the remnants of rope snapping against her skin. "What makes you think I need a human to save me?" "It doesn't matter what I think," Cade shot back, frustration rising in his chest. "All that matters is we need to get out of here before those goons come back. We can't afford to stay." "I won't follow you, if your plan is to drag me into the dirt like a lost pup," she hissed, almost glaring him down. Cade took a step back, his heart pounding from the earlier adrenaline, but now mixing with embarrassment. The alien's pride was formidable, almost daunting, but he saw a flicker of something deeper in her expression, a longing for strength, perhaps. "Right, I'm not here to drag you anywhere," he replied, struggling to keep irritation from threading through his tone. "But they will come back. You don't understand. There are humans who will capture you again and sell you. I can help you. Just trust me for now." Celera studied him, biting her lip as if weighing her options. The look she gave him seemed to shift, the glint of defiance hinting at something more, a glimmer of curiosity. "Your kind speaks of trust like a song, yet I see none in your eyes," she finally said, some of her fire dwindling. "Is this where the game begins? What do you want, human?" Taking a breath, he lowered his weapon, deciding to offer her an honest response. "I want to prevent another capture. You deserve better than that." With an unsettling silence hanging between them, Cade turned to lead the way. The thickets folded around them, shadows creeping into the light as they trudged through the uneven terrain. As they walked, Celera kept an equal distance behind, tense yet vigilant. "Where are we going?" she finally asked, a hint of doubt creeping into her voice. "There's a safe house nearby, an abandoned base the Alliance uses. It's not far from here. We can lay low for a while," Cade explained, trying to project confidence. "Safe," Celera echoed, skepticism dripping from her words. "What does a human know of safety? Your kind pillages and conquers. You do not protect." Cade winced at her words. There was truth to her claim. Humanity was in a constant fight for dominance over this new world, and he couldn't deny his own part in it. "I know the risks," he replied, "but I'm not like the others. I want to change that. I want to make things right." Celera paused, her gaze sharp and focused, seemingly searching for any sign of deception in his sincerity. After a long moment, she took a hesitant step closer. "Very well, but if you cross me, I will not hesitate to fight." "I wouldn't expect anything less," Cade said, a flicker of a smile breaking through his anxiety. As they maneuvered through the dense vegetation, unexpected moments of tension lingered, as if the air crackled with unspoken tension. When they paused for a moment to catch their breath, Cade couldn't help but glance sideways. Celera was a powerful presence, her muscles taut, and every angle of her form sharp. There was an undeniable charisma about her, and he found himself mesmerized. "Do you have a name?" she questioned, shifting the dynamic with subtle grace. "Cade," he replied, allowing himself a brief smile. "And you?" "Celera," she said, her tone softening as she let the word roll from her lips. "It means star in my language." "Fitting," he murmured, surprising himself with the warmth in his chest. "But if you're a star, what does that make me, a mere satellite?" Celera chuckled, a sound like wind chimes. "Perhaps you're a wandering comet, burning brightly yet lost in a chaotic sky." That struck Cade with a jolt, and the distance between them seemed to narrow, just slightly. He hadn't allowed anyone to get close, since the war dragged him into its depths, fashioning walls around his heart. Yet here they were, thrown together in circumstances so bizarre, they practically defied logic. "Celera," he began tentatively as they resumed their trek, "what do you know about humans? Do you really think we're all the same?" "I've seen many of your kind," she confessed, a note of sadness in her voice. "You've come to conquer and claim. Your ships landed like vultures circling prey. That is what your kind does." Cade's throat tightened, the weight of her words anchoring him. "And yet you have a heart," he responded gently. "You're not just a prey." Celera turned, the reflective quality of her gaze settling on him, and for a moment, he felt a connection, a shared understanding. "Then tell me, what do you want? What is it that lies within you?" Cade hesitated. The truth was messy. "I want peace," he finally articulated. "I want to find a way for us all to coexist, for a future that doesn't mean war." Celera's expression shifted. An echo of contemplation deepened the lines of her face. "Perhaps you are different, Cade, for you are but one among many." As they approached the outskirts of the abandoned base, an old structure melded into the landscape, still echoing the remnants of a past war. Cade took a step back, gesturing to the way forward. Here we are. We can rest and gather supplies. You'll be safe here, he stated. But as he turned to face her, he wasn't prepared for the softness in her eyes, nor for what they might harbor. You may think me your enemy, she said, her voice steady. But you saved me without thought for yourself. I will remember that. The words hung thick in the air, and a tentative bond was forged in the silence that followed. Whether they were allies or enemies, there was a spark flickering between them, a strange duality of distrust and unspoken understanding. As they moved inside the derelict structure, both Cade and Celera were unaware that their journey would lead them into unknown territories, not just as a means of survival, but as the spark of something they could never hope to fully comprehend. Inside the crumbling walls of the abandoned base, the air was thick with a dusty smell, remnants of machinery long gone. Cade quickly swept through the interior, assessing the remnants of what had once been a secure hideout for the Alliance. Flickering emergency lights cast ominous shadows, while he rummaged through deactivated consoles, remnants of old rations, and broken equipment. Celera observed him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism, her stance still guarded as if expecting the walls themselves to spring to life. You search, but what is it you seek? She asked, her voice echoing softly against the crumbling structure. Supplies, weapons, anything we can use to feel safer until we can get away from this place, Cade replied, piling items in a corner. And I need to figure out our next move. Celera stepped closer, studying him as he worked. You think yourself a protector, yet you scavenge like a scavenger, she said, a hint of disdain lacing her words. Is this how your kind shows strength? Cade narrowed his eyes. I might be scavenging, but I'm still alive, aren't I? And this is about survival. Perhaps survival is different for you, Celera replied, crossing her arms over her chest. In my culture, strength is not shown through petty tricks. We stand our ground. We rely on our kin. Your kin? Cade prompted, intrigued by her passion. Those of my kind, those who fight alongside one another, Celera explained, her eyes flashing with a mixture of pride and sorrow. We are a part of the land, the air, and the stars. When we mate, we entwine our essences, becoming one with each other. It is not merely physical. Cade found himself captivated by her words, embodying a significance he had never considered. That sounds spiritual, he said slowly, glancing around as he processed this lost piece of her culture. Celera tilted her head, an expression of bemusement crossing her features. You humans speak of love and connection, yet many of your kind see the act of mating as just a means to an end. Your relationships seem fleeting. Cade chuckled, trying to lighten the heavy atmosphere. Fleeting? Well, sure, there's plenty of casual encounters back home. But he hesitated, aware of stepping onto unsure ground. For many of us, there's so much more involved. We crave connection, but the war has blurred the lines. It's hard to find what's real when you're always looking over your shoulder. Then why do you cling to the source of pain? Celera shot back, her expression sharpening. Why not fight to change the course of your destiny, to build a future? Because I don't know how, he admitted, vulnerability slipping into his tone. I've seen too much, lost too many. Celera's gaze softened faintly, understanding sneaking in. We all carry our scars, she said gently, taking a step closer. To build a future, you must understand those scars and take the risks to heal. I too have lost. Cade noticed the way her strong exterior cracked, just for an instant, revealing a shared pain that linked them in strange, profound ways. What did you lose? He asked. My home. Her voice came out as a whisper, filled with raw emotion. My family. Our way of life. I'm sorry, Cade said, genuinely affected. It sounds like we have more in common than we thought. Celera let out a breath, the defenses around her slowly lowering. We may have been born on different worlds, but we are both survivors. Just then, her keen ears perked up, and her expression transformed from contemplation to that of a predator. We should not linger in one spot for too long. Even now, I feel eyes upon us. Cade's heart raced at the intensity in her voice. He nodded, understanding that their lives depended on movement and agility. You're right. Let's check the area for weapons and supplies. Then we'll plan our next step. As they scoured the remnants of the base, Solara's grace in navigating the environment took Cade by surprise. She easily slipped between dilapidated walls and twisting corridors. He marveled at her fluidity, how she seemed attuned to every crack and crevice. This was her territory, a connection to her past that he could hardly comprehend. Finding a small cache of supplies beneath a rusted panel, Cade felt a burst of hope. Jackpot! He turned to Solara, unable to hide his excitement. A few energy bars and a couple of energy pistols. This might give us enough to stay hidden and hold off any threats. He handed her one of the pistols, a sleek design that seemed almost organic in her grasp. Solara inspected it, her demeanor shifting from contempt to intrigue. This weapon feels crude in comparison to our mechanisms, she remarked, running her fingers along the surface. But I suppose even the simplest tools can be effective in the right hands. True, Cade replied, his appreciation for her perspective swelling. But don't underestimate the skills of a human, especially when it comes to survival. As they prepared to strategize their next move, the weight of the moment pressed heavily upon them. Solara hinted at her formidable capabilities, yet Cade couldn't shake the feeling that what lay ahead was as much a test of their hearts as it was of their survival skills. They had forged an unlikely alliance, both awash in uncertainties, yet drawn to the flicker of understanding blooming between them. Within the confines of the old base, they'd encountered each other's vulnerabilities amidst a world ready to tear them apart. Cade, Solara murmured, glancing at him. What will you do now? Will you continue to seek this change? To fight for your future? I will, he affirmed, sincerity painting his voice. And I'll do it with you by my side. For the first time, a grin broke across Solara's lips, brilliant and electrifying. Then we shall create a new path for both our kinds together. They formed a pact without words, a promise that transcended their diverse cultures, one that hinted at a bond that could withstand the chaos threatening to engulf them both. The air in the dilapidated base felt electric as Cade and Solara meticulously arranged their supplies and weapons. Yet, beneath the surface of their newfound alliance, a different challenge began to brew. Cade sensed it before he could even see it. The looming shadows beyond the walls, the tension creeping through the air like a warning bell. Cade, Solara said suddenly, her voice a low whisper. I can hear them. Outside. Cade's heart raced as he moved closer to the windowless gap they had taken refuge in. You're sure? Her expression was grave, eyes scanning the perimeter. Trust me, there is something out there, something lethal. We must prepare. Nodding, Cade adjusted the energy pistol at his side, feeling a surge of adrenaline. How many? She paused for a moment, focusing her senses. A small group, perhaps 4 or 5. They are close, hunting. Cade swallowed hard. Hunting for you? Yes, she confirmed with quiet certainty. The weight of that realization hung between them like a jagged blade. They want to reclaim me, perhaps for a higher price than those sickened mercenaries offered. He could feel the warmth of her proximity and the underlying tension shifting into something more resolute. We'll fight them off. Together. Solara nodded, but there was a flicker of something different in her eyes. Fear and defiance intermingled. They will not stop until they have what they want. Then they'll have to deal with us both, Cade said fiercely, feeling his blood pump with newfound determination. Let's set up defenses. They quickly laid out the supplies and barricaded the main entrance. Cade used his surroundings to create makeshift barriers, while Solara took to the upper levels, her agility allowing her to climb higher in the remnants of the base without a sound. As he adjusted his gun, the atmosphere shifted once more, thick with a predatory tension. Seconds felt like hours. Then a noise outside shattered the silence, a rustling followed by unintelligible whispers. Cade froze, the grip on his weapon tightening. They're here, Solara said, her voice coming through the small ventilation shaft. His gaze shot up as she crouched on the beams above, ready to strike. Let's wait for the right moment, he mouthed, his heart hammering in time with the impending threat. He knew this was it, the moment they would prove their strengths. The whispers continued, hushed yet frenzied, before a low growl broke the silence outside the walls. Cade's muscles tensed at the sound, instinct kicking in. He could feel Solara's energy around him, a pulse of strength, proving that they were not outmatched. Then, without warning, the entrance splintered under a sudden impact, sending debris flying across the room. A group of armed enforcers flooded inside, their brutish forms silhouetted against the dim light that filtered through the base. "Get her!" one shouted, wielding a heavy baton. "Do not let her escape again." With a swift motion, Cade stepped forward, raising his weapon as he fired a warning shot. The blast hit the ground between the mercenary's feet, sending up a shower of dust. "Back off," he barked, striving to sound more confident than he felt. "Is that all you can do?" Another mercenary scoffed, moving toward him with menace in his eyes. "You're outnumbered, human. Surrender." Solara's movements were a blur as she leaped from her position, her body sleek and powerful, landing behind the mercenaries. With a swift kick, she incapacitated the first one, dropping him to the ground before he could register her presence. A surge of pride rushed through Cade. There it was, a symbiosis of human and alien, their strengths amplifying each other in the face of danger. "Keep moving," Cade shouted, firing again as another mercenary lunged at him. "Don't let them surround us." Solara fought fiercely, her agile movements leaving her opponents bewildered. She darted from one adversary to the next, striking with calculated efficiency, embodying the warrior spirit he'd only encountered in moments of dreams. With adrenaline rushing through him, Cade focused on his own targets, taking shots from cover while providing support. He was no stranger to combat, but working alongside Solara felt different, like two celestial bodies colliding, creating a force stronger than each alone. "Watch your left," Solara yelled, just as another mercenary charged toward Cade. He spun, narrowly avoiding the wide swing of the baton, and retaliated with a quick shot to the mercenary's leg. "Thurkin have left us. You'll pay dearly," the fallen mercenary snarled, clutching his injury. "We're not your prey." Cade fired back, adrenaline pulsing through him. Solara moved gracefully, her focus unwavering even as chaos enveloped them. With a powerful kick, she disarmed another mercenary, leaving him sprawled on the ground. Cade could see the resolve in her, the determination to fight for her freedom, her identity. The last mercenary stood cornered, glancing between his wounded comrades and Cade and Solara, who stood united as an indomitable force. Sensing the desperation in the air, he raised his weapon, but Solara acted before he could pull the trigger, launching herself into the air and disarming him with an elegant twist of her body. In the aftermath of the confrontation, heavy breaths mixed with the dust settling in the air. Cade looked at Solara, his chest heaving with exhaustion and exhilaration. "We did it," he exclaimed, astonished by what they had just accomplished. "You fought well, Cade," Solara replied, a breathless smile gracing her lips. "You are stronger than I imagined." They could feel the tension dissolving, the threat dissipating into the remnants of the skirmish. For the first time, everything felt clear between them. They were allies, comrades bound by more than mere circumstance. But that clarity also brought forth a deeper realization, one that lingered in the silences that followed. They were no longer two separate beings, from vastly different worlds, fighting for survival. They were something more dynamic, more complex. The implications of that bond whispered around them, interweaving future paths that neither could yet comprehend. "Let's get out of here," Cade said finally, his voice steady but thoughtful. "We can still find a way forward together." Solara nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. As they surveyed the remnants of the fight, they stepped into the unknown future, poised to carve their own destiny amid the impending chaos of the universe. The remnants of the skirmish lingered in the air, a charged silence, punctuated by the echo of their heavy breaths. Cade and Solara stood side by side, surrounded by the scattered remnants of those who had come for her, their dark intent thwarted. But lingering fears still wrapped around them like a vine, constricting their shared moment of victory. "We should move before more come," Cade said, breaking the silence. He glanced toward the back exit they had previously scouted. This new understanding created an urgency that throbbed in his chest. Celera nodded, her expression grave as she regarded the mercenaries, now incapacitated at their feet. "We cannot linger. There are more who will come for me," she replied, her voice steady, aware of the stakes they faced. "Let's head for the old mine nearby. It could provide us cover until we figure out our next moves," Cade suggested, recalling past maps about potential hideouts from his earlier scouting missions. He felt a weight, an unspoken promise in the air, one that acknowledged the battle they had fought together would not be the last they faced. As they hurried to the exit, Solara's presence sent a myriad of mixed emotions washing over Cade. Her resilience was undeniable, a strength that resonated with an energy he had never encountered before. Together, they sprinted through the dense underbrush, the weight of their journey clinging to them like a shadow. The mine came into view, a yawning mouth carved into the rock, silently offering refuge. They slipped inside, shadows engulfing them, and soon the world outside faded into an echo of distant calls. "This should be safe," Cade panted, leaning against the cold wall of the mine. "For now, at least." Celera surveyed their surroundings, distrust knitting her brows. "What if they track us here?" "They won't follow just anyone into the mines," Cade responded, moving to illuminate the space with a flick lighter he'd found earlier. "These tunnels have been abandoned for years. They're filled with dangerous traps." Despite the uncertainty lingering in the shadows, he caught Solara's gaze, a spark igniting between them, a conscious understanding that something deeper had developed. "Cade," Celera said softly, the weight of her words matching the seriousness of their situation. "You fought for me today. Your kind calls such sacrifices brave. But why?" His heart thundered, and he took a moment to collect himself before answering. "Because I see you, Celera, not just as a creature to be hunted, but as a person with dreams and history. Your fight is my fight now." The tension in her expression softened, the facade of an unyielding warrior yielding to the vulnerability beneath. "I have been trained to endure. In my culture, strength is everything. Yet here I am, relying on you. It is daunting." Cade moved a step closer, curiosity sparking again. "We can rely on each other. This partnership is less about dominance and submission, more about combining our strengths." "It is strange," she mused, her voice barely above a whisper, "to feel something stir within me so foreign." "What do you mean?" Cade pressed, intrigued. "This pull," she admitted, her eyes bright against the darkness of the mine. "An attraction to something I feared. Trust, understanding, commitment." She hesitated before adding, "A connection that blurs the lines drawn by our cultures." "I feel it too," he confessed. "I never expected this. I thought I was fighting for my own survival, but now, it seems like I'm fighting for us." Suddenly, sounds outside intruded, a distant rumble echoing through the mine. Cade and Solara's eyes widened in unison, the tension giving way to urgency. "They've already found us," he said, searching for an exit route. "No," Celera said sharply, a new determination flooding her veins. "I will not go back to captivity. I'd rather die fighting." "No one is dying today," Cade replied firmly, rallying his own emotions. "We're not alone in this fight. Trust me." Celera nodded, taking a deep breath. "What's our plan?" Cade moved to explore further into the mine, assessing it for avenues of escape, sensing the strength surrounding them. "The tunnels weave deeper within the mountain. If we can go underground, they'll have to shift their search." Celera watched, her heart racing as they prepped to fight together once more. "Then let us show them what it means to challenge us." Together, they navigated the winding corridors, seeking strategic exits while preparing for whatever threats lay ahead. The air was thick with determination, sparks glinting off the walls as they shared strategic plans, discussing ways they could repel any pursuers attempting to close in. Finally, they broke into a larger section of the tunnel, a chamber lit by faint bioluminescent fungi scattered upon the walls. A soft glow enveloped them, igniting a vibrant energy as they huddled down. "What if they come after us?" Celera murmured. "They will not stop until they find me." "We'll fight," Cade said, the conviction in his voice resonant. We protect one another. That's how this works. If you fall, I fall. If I fall, you do too. There's no other way forward. Then, against all odds, a louder rumble echoed and began to reverberate through the stone around them, signaling the oncoming legions of mercenaries outside. But within the heart of that storm, Celera turned to Cade, vulnerability and resolve mingling in her fierce gaze. Then let this be the dawn of our new beginning. They embraced briefly, an electrifying connection igniting something profound between them, an acknowledgement of a future they would fight to reclaim, retaking control of their intertwined destinies. As the sounds of wings echoed closer, they stood defiant in the chamber's glow, ready to face not only the external storm, but the turbulent journey ahead. The pulse of the universe thrummed around them, a rhythm inviting them to become something greater, something that transcended the limits of their worlds. With renewed determination, they stepped forth together, ready to carve out a legacy that would unite not just their cultures, but the fates of those who dared to dream of coexistence.